Yo, 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 what is going on, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love? My name is Jamal Pope, aka J Phoenix, and this is going to be your daily tarot and astrology reading for Monday, September 23rd of 2024. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. Hopefully you guys had a wonderful weekend. The autumnal equinox has just happened, or the vernal equinox if you are in the southern hemisphere. So we are in a new season. The second half of the astrological year has just begun. Let's go ahead and hop into today's video, see what the cards are saying, seeing what the planets are doing, so we can see how you can be better prepared to navigate these wild, intense, and pivotal times. Well, I have the Ten of Cups in reverse. The Ten of Cups in reverse. I think, honestly, this just comes down to whenever it comes to that emotional fulfillment, that it needs to come from the inside and not some sort of external force. This is about choosing to be happy. It's about choosing to see on the bright side of things. I don't think the Ten of Cups in reverse is wrong. I don't think it's bad or it means that things are just not going to go well. It simply means that we have to have a shift in our perspective and realize that things are probably a lot better than we realize. In one way, it's the rainbow, and in this way, it's like a smile. So this is one of those things where maybe we need to turn that frown upside down. Maybe if we are sitting there contemplating over things and thinking that things are not as good as they could be, well, shoot, this is about being grateful for all of the things that are working out. There still can be an emotional fulfillment, but I think if you are predicating your happiness on external forces instead of being happy from within, I think that's where you start to trip up on a day like today. I also have the Wheel of Fortune. So, I mean, literally, this is like turning your frown upside down, realizing that things are actually turning in your favor. There's an element of fate here with this Wheel of Fortune card as well. So, Ten of Cups plus a major arcana card. Yeah, the tides are definitely shifting. The wheel is definitely turning, albeit slowly. Things aren't turning as fast as we want, and maybe that's why we're having the Ten of Cups in reverse moment, where it's like we feel like things could be better, or, we're getting in our head that, trying to say like, oh, I will be happy once this happens, or I will be satisfied once this happens. If we're predicating our happiness on some type of external thing, or some type of metric that we have to meet in life, or some sort of goal or status that we have to have, that's not where true happiness comes from. True happiness comes from within. True happiness comes from, living in your spiritual truth and walking in that spiritual integrity and, enjoying and appreciating every day and every moment that God gives us. So the Wheel of Fortune is coming in showing us that there's so much more here than we realize. There's so many things are actually working on our favor than we realize. And we have to be able to look on the bright side of things and see how that's coming, I mean, astrologically, there's not really a ton of stuff happening today, just some building energy. We're building up to the third quarter square of the moon. But this moon today will make a square over to Saturn, and this moon in Gemini is wanting to make things a little bit lighter emotionally, but also emotionally is a little bit more tied to our thoughts and kind of like the randomness of everything, but Mercury dispositing this moon, being that it is the ruler of Gemini and it is here in Virgo, getting ready to oppose Neptune, mind you. I think, we're definitely wanting things to look a certain way. I think we're trying to perfect things within our mind, but it's like we have to kind of take this moment by moment. Moon in Gemini, especially with the Jupiter that's like slowing down here, it's very much so moment to moment. It's like trying to have these long-term plans and these long-term visions on things. It's if you noticed, it's kind of hard to kind of like look deeper and way out to the future and try and figure out what's going to happen or what we're going to do. Why? Well, because the visionary planets, the ones that think a little bit more long term, Jupiter is a visionary planet. It's retrograde. It's about to retrograde here in Gemini, and it's really slowing down and it's detriment. And Saturn, which is all about planning, is retrograde here in Pisces, right? So the only planet that we really have that's kind of looking forward, I guess you would say, is probably Mercury. Yeah, the sun is in Libra, but now it's in fall, so the sun's not feeling that great, and Venus is now in Scorpio in detriment, so Venus is not feeling that great. So the strongest planet right now is Mercury, and it's about to go head to head with Neptune. So this isn't a time where we're looking really deep into the future and looking really far ahead and trying to project out is that this is going to happen or this has to happen this way and trying to have this gigantic, massive plan all together. That's not really what's going to help you. It's very much so is a day to day, moment to moment kind of energy. And I think that annoys and frustrates people that want to have a plan and need to know everything and need to have the details of everything, but it's just not quite there. The energy's just not quite there, and that's okay. It's okay to take things moment to moment. This is very much so short goal oriented. I think giving ourselves short goals, things in the short term, wanting to accomplish, like, writing those lists out throughout the day, or maybe you give yourself different goals throughout the week and kind of let that build up. That's really what's going to be much more sustainable right now, instead of having like the 5 year, 10 year, 15 year plans, because the world is shifting, so we don't really know how those plans are going to pan out. So we do have to kind of go moment by moment. And this moon squaring Saturn at the right beginning part of the day is definitely going to key in on that. We're emotionally responding more to our thoughts, with it being in Gemini. And Saturn over here in Pisces, it's definitely throwing a wild card for a lot of things, and it's wanting us to stay in our spiritual integrity, right? This moon also, we will see it make a conjunction to Jupiter. That's going to be later on in the day, but we will see it conjunct Jupiter, right? So that just means that whatever we are responding to thought-wise is just going to be expanded. But remember, this Jupiter is slowing down. So it's like, I think we're wanting to have new thoughts, we're wanting to feel more creative, we're wanting to feel like we have much more of a vision, but the fact of the matter is that things are slowing down and it's not moving as fast as we want it to. So, that can cause a little bit of frustration where we want to kind of expand upon this space, these new ideas and everything like that, but is not going to be yielding what we want it to yield per se. It's almost like, planting some crops, if you will, and you yield less fruit than what you thought you were going to yield, and then you get super frustrated that you didn't get as much fruit, but you still got a lot of fruit. You probably still got enough fruit to get you through, the rest of the year, the rest of the season, but you're upset that you didn't get enough of it. And that's just kind of where it is. It's almost like we're getting the wins, but we're not grateful for the wins because it wasn't good enough. Or like if it's like a sports team, it's almost like, say a team wins by I'm just going to use football. Say a team wins by a touchdown, right? And then it's like you're pissed that you didn't win by 3 touchdowns. Well, you still got the W. It was a little bit more difficult. It wasn't as easy, and maybe you were projected to win by more than, a touchdown, because the experts and the analysis, of you and your team or whatever like that was projecting you to win by more than a touchdown, but maybe you only win by a touchdown. It's a grinded out kind of energy, So it's like we have to kind of have that mentality right now where it's a bit of a grinded out kind of energy. We can get our wins, we can strive for things, but it's going to take a little bit more time and effort, and that's okay. It's okay to kind of take things moment by moment, day by day. There's no shame in that. There's no shame in not having I think you can have goals for the future and have things to look forward to, but I also think it's okay to not know exactly how it's supposed to look and have a concept of a plan, right? It's like, I think that's honestly okay. I think it's good to kind of, like I said, have some details figured out. I think, we don't want to just go into this being aimless, but I think it's also okay to not know the full picture 100%. And we need to have some grace on ourselves for not having the full picture 100%, right? The moon will also make a little quincunx over to Chiron, which is, not quincunx, a sex over to Chiron, which is nice if you're able to overcome, your wounded ego, if you're able to overcome your wounded ego and you can find the opportunity to communicate from a place of strength and instead of a place of victimhood, then you definitely can utilize this energy for positive gain and for expansion. But if you communicate from a place of victimhood, from your wounded ego, then you're just gonna find yourself kind of just singing the same tune, singing the same song, and expecting a different result. And that's not really going to get you anywhere. So, final card that we have is the Page of Cups in reverse. The Page of Cups in reverse. Yeah, so be wary of your emotions. You know, I think this is a day where it's like we kind of have to learn how to be okay with maybe some of the slowdown of the energy. We have to kind of be okay with things not looking perfect or feeling perfect. You know, Mars is also in Cancer too, so that can add a bit of irritation when it comes to the emotional aspect of things too. So, yeah, we just have to learn how to be okay with not feeling perfect all the time. You're not always going to feel perfect, and that's perfectly okay, right? I have the card of integration, though. The card of integration. The frequency of integration supports our embrace of every aspect of ourselves, allowing what we perceive as positive and what we perceive as negative to harmonize in a balanced symphony of life. You know, that definitely makes a lot of sense. We have to be able to take those positive emotions and those negative emotions and be able to synthesize them and integrate them so we can be a whole being, you know? We have to be able to experience the wide range of emotions, you know? And those things that we perceive as negative, think about things that you perceived as negative in the past. I'm sure you can look back on them, and either there's going to be a couple of things that you either do. A, you're either going to laugh at it because it was actually really funny. B, you'll be like, you know what, that kind of sucked, but I learned a lot from it, you know. Or C, maybe you're still hurting from it. But it's one of those three, and honestly, two of them are pretty positive. So you have like a 67% chance of looking back on it and be like, you know, that actually was pretty overall positive, even though I perceived it as negative. Like I said, either you're going to laugh at it, you're either going to see it as positive for your growth, even if it sucked, or you're going to be like still kind of lamenting over what happened, right? Or maybe some combination of all three, right? We have to learn how to be able to integrate all of that, right? There are plenty of times I could look back on something that I was lamenting over and I was really upset about in the moment, and then I'll look back and I'm like, that's actually kind of funny. That's actually kind of hilarious, you know? And it's just a part of the journey. It's part of growth. It's part of the human experience. So try not to, you know, don't make mountains out of molehills or whatever. Is that the technical? Is that the actual saying? Don't make mountains out of small anthills. Don't, you know, don't take something that's really small and turn it into something that's massive. It's easy to do that with the moon on Jupiter today, but don't take something that is really not that big of a deal and blow it up to something that it really is not, because you're honestly just going to be stuffing it with hot air. And if you just blow it up and blow it up and blow it up, that thing will eventually pop, you know. And that's the thing about it. Do you want that to really pop? That energy, that situation? Do you really want it to pop? And then it just creates a big loud bang, and then that causes more confusion, and it's just probably best to avoid that, you know. So I think a lot of times what we can do with this energy is that we can take something so small and we can blow it up and project its energy out, and it can appear to be very scary when really we're just looking at its shadow and it's somehow being casted up on this wall. But then we look at it and it's probably just a scared little puppy, or probably honestly a scared version of your past self. And maybe you need to give that past version of yourself a hug and let them know it's going to be all right. That's going to do it for your daily tarot and astrology reading. I trust that this message will assist you on your journey this Monday. And yeah, y'all take care. Stay blessed. Have a wonderful Monday. And I will see you all on the next video. Peace.